For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you've really run out of time? And we've got to talk about your latest. I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school?
Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Richard Skipper Celebrates. No, I'm not in Hawaii. I open tonight with Aloha because every morning I open a little morning devotional. And this morning, as I began my day, I read about the meaning of the word aloha. And in Hawaiian, the culture of aloha, it means hello. It means goodbye. It means I have empathy for you, not sympathy, not pity, but empathy. And I think that's what we need a little bit more of in the world right now. It's been a difficult day here in New York, and we are much aware of the turmoil in the world that's going on right now. But my hope is that for the next hour, that you are going to join my very special guest, Teri Ralston, who I absolutely adore, and I am such a big fan of, and I'm thrilled that she is back here for the second time. The last time she was here as part of an ensemble, but tonight we are here one-on-one. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. My show is about celebrating life, celebrating art, celebrating artists, and I can't think of a better artist than Teri Ralston to celebrate tonight. And we are going to be celebrating her body of worth tonight. Teri, welcome to the show. I am thrilled that you're here. And I want to ask, who or what are you celebrating today?
You. You make me feel so good. Oh my goodness. And I do this every month.
Oh my God, you can do it every day because you make me feel the same way. I am so thrilled that you're here. It's so funny. I was going to change it to something a little bit more conservative, but you said, I like the shirt you're wearing.
Love that. It's not quite Hawaiian, but it's very cool.
I actually got this. I got this in Palm Springs, and today I did a little Instagram message, and this was the closest thing that I have to anything Hawaiian. So I thought that I would put this on and start there.
It's a great shirt.
Thank you. But before we jump in tonight, I always like to start my shows with a random question, because tonight we're going to be celebrating humor, and I want to look at the humor in your own life, in your own career. And I'm sure that you've used a lot of humor to get through a lot of difficult times in your life. When you look at the word humor, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Well, maybe I just said it, survival.
Survival.
Survival. I mean, the thing that I've always lived my life for and preached and taught is that, don't ever take yourself too seriously. That doesn't mean not to be totally dedicated to what you do, but don't take your failures or your successes too seriously, and never lose your humor, because that really, well, first of all, laughter. Do you remember that thing that they were doing in China a while ago? It was a class in laughter.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I mean, it's true. It gets the endorphins going. It's just the best thing,
And there's nothing like it. And you and I both, in the world of theater, when you hear an audience laugh in unison, it is the greatest sound in the world.
It really is, and it feels so good. It energizes you. I had to. Oh, this is a little sidetracked here, but I had to learn to laugh 8 times a week when I was, doing company, because I was, the pot smoker, and I had to laugh hysterically and roll on the floor. And I mean, if you do that 8 days a week, you really know what laughter's about.
Well, do you mind if I put you on the spot with that? Had you tried pot before doing that role?
Well, I had to, didn't I? I mean, didn't I have to do my research? It was the same time Hair was playing, but I was the legitimate pot smoker, you see, because I mean, you know what I mean. Company was not a hippie musical.
Right.
Yeah, yes, of course,
No, I only asked this question not to put you on the spot, but
Oh
because
no, I mean, I'm not embarrassed that I
no,
smoke
no,
pot,
no,
and
but because I mean, it is. I mean, just to get into that mindset and to take the audience with you, because once you start, it starts with a titter and a giggle, and then the audience is going to go right there with you.
isn't laughter the most infectious thing in the world? You can hear people laughing, and you know nothing what it's about, and it just gets you going.
Do you remember the first time that you heard laughter on stage, either as a child or as an adult? I mean, that first time that you were on stage and you hear that you, as an artist, have the control of the audience
Oh, mean laughter that I caused?
that you created, either on purpose or inadvertently.
Well, I something else comes to mind. I mean, of course, I did a lot of comedies. I mean, this isn't answering your question. 'Cause, one of the most difficult things is when you are not supposed to laugh on stage and something happens that is funny, and that is one of the most painful things in the
Yes.
world, as you try not to laugh. And then, um, you know, I had a situation. I remember this in your own thing, and I I actually don't remember what happened. That the person I was playing, and it was a love duet, and we both started chuckling. And finally we just let it go and just burst out. And of course, the audience loved it. If you can kind of let them in on what's happening, you know, they loved it. But I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to answer your question. Um, boy, I'm trying to go back because it was probably one of my very early shows that, and I'm sorry, I
No,
can't
well,
pull it up.
that's all right. I lead a book group on Mondays, and right now we are reading Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. And yesterday we were on this chapter and we were talking about empathy and sympathy. And she's got these great words that she really breaks down. And sometimes we, as humans, we confuse the meanings of these words. Sometimes you feel sorry for someone, and we confuse sympathy and pity and these. And one of the people in the group yesterday, who was an actress, she said something, and it was it was like an aha moment that we all, as artists, everyone's an artist in this group, realized that as artists on stage, what we are doing, we are really eliciting these feelings in the audience. We know that we are taking them on this journey always, but that we are really creating these feelings within the audience, of making them feel things that somehow perhaps they've never felt before in their lives, or evoking a memory or something, that they're experiencing for the first time. And Sally Struthers once said that date audiences were the worst audiences in the world, because you're on a date. If you're on a date for the first time with someone, especially, you're there, and if you start to laugh at something, the person's going, "You think that's funny? You think what's funny about
that and you also learn that Friday night audiences on Broadway are your worst, because they've been working all day and now they got to go out and have a good time, and just Friday night, or the laughter isn't as profound on Friday nights.
Well, I'm going to ask you a random question. I haven't even looked at it. And the question is, what's the last thing that you completed on your bucket list?
Well, I strangely enough, I don't have a bucket list. and I never did. I'll tell you I'll give you. I bought a home that is going to be my home, but I can't say that that was ever my bucket list. It's I am someone that believes living in the present, and so I don't have things that I'm going to do for the last time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't really have a bucket list. I have things I want to do, and I assume I'll do them. I have had this incredible opportunity. Travel has always been, I guess that could, certain places I wanted to go, but that was answered because I worked on Crystal Cruises. I did 2 world cruises, so I've been sort of everywhere in the world. So those would have been dreams and bucket lists, but that I made very young in life. Right now, when I'm not so young, I suppose I should be making some making some bucket lists. Um, I did want, because I kind of have houses in different places, and I have wanted a home that would be the home. And I just bought what I consider a home here in Palm Springs. Now, I still have my place in the Berkshires, and I still have a place in Rosarito, but I'm so thrilled with my home. So that's, I guess, uh, kind of bringing my life in a little bit, if
I
you
want
could
to
call it
talk
a bucket
about,
list.
excuse me, I want to talk about some of the homes that you've had. You originally are from Colorado, uh,
Yes.
but at a very young age, your family moved for a short time, I think, to California, and then you moved back. But then you went back to California. You went to San Francisco, and originally you thought, or your original ambitions were to be a teacher. Am I correct?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I always planned on being a teacher. Right.
And what shifted? How did that all change for
Well,
you?
let me preface this because if I repeat any stories said in the last time we were interviewed, forgive me for that. You can
No,
say,
that's quite all right. We've got new people watching tonight, so that's
okay, okay. Well, what shifted it was, let me say, I was born in this little town of Holyoke, Colorado, and my father was a doctor and my mother was a housewife. There was no theater. The movie house went out of business all the time. Was up in Sterling, 50 miles away. Maybe we went to see a ballet. I knew nothing about theater, but somehow I was producing shows in my garage at the age of 12. And I was writing letters to movie stars asking for their autograph. I mean, where that came from, I have no idea. So we moved when I was 12 to Laguna Beach, and I immediately got in a little,
mhm.
12-year-old acting group. And, my first play was Ghost in the Green Gown. I will never forget that. But the main thing, I was in high school and I had a drama teacher. Her name was Joan Lee Wohler. And she saw me do an assembly. I was going to go to Colorado and get my teaching credentials, Colorado University. And she saw me do this, my baby loves a Western movie. Something. And she says, that girl has talent. So she had me come in and audition for the high school play, which was Carousel. And I got it. I was Carrie, which was my first show. And then she entered me in the Orange County acting competition, and I won Best Actress, for Orange County. So that just really felt good.
Mhm.
That was just feeling good. I never really planned a career. She then suggested I go to San Francisco State and study drama. So I thought, well, I'll give it a year and then I'll go back and get my teaching credentials. And so I got this wonderful education and at San Francisco State. And, I just feel I have been led. My life has just been blessed. I mean, I still wasn't planning a career. I wanted to go to New York to experience New York. I never thought I would, my life would be, you know, whole life would be around this.
Had you ever been to New York as on a visit or prior to, to coming to New York to pursue a
Well,
career?
not so I had any memory of it. I traveled, I mean, I traveled a lot with my family, but no, I hadn't, you know, well, that's not true. That's not true. The first show I saw, I did go back. I did go back because I traveled to Europe right out of high school, and I was in New York and I saw Sammy Davis in Golden Boy. I remember,
Mm.
so that goes way back, way back. So yes, I had been there and I'd seen a couple of shows and I loved it, but I'd had no idea that I would be on that Broadway stage. And I was doing the show called Your Own Thing. Well, actually, I was singing at the Purple Onion. I'd done a nightclub act, and someone in it suggested they weren't happy with the girl, so they saw me and they cast me. And I was when I saw it and saw what I was the girl that was doing it was this exhaustic, sexy, and I said, "You want me to do that?" At any rate, that then took me to Philadelphia, the show, because I wanted an opening came up in Philadelphia. I said, well, I want to discover New York. So I went and did it in Philadelphia. I got an agent. I saw Jacques Brel
I
and
love this story. It's just, I mean, talk about uh, naivete sometimes can be a
oh,
blessing.
oh my God, when you don't know any better, you just do things. So anyway, yes, I called the stage manager and said, because I saw it and I said, well, I have to do this show. And anyway, I auditioned for it and I got it. So, and then I got company the same year. And, I saw when I loved theater. And there were 3 shows that I saw in my life that I said, I have to do. So I had that drive. I said, I have to do it. And the first one was the Fantastics. And so I think the first production well, anyway, it was in San Francisco.
Mhm.
And so I got to do the Fantastics. The next one was Jacques Brel. And then the Gretchen Choir play.
Getting my act together and taking it on.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that and I said, I have to do that. And so, those 3 shows I got to do. And so I was hooked, I was hooked, but I just never, never imagined I would have such wonderful fortune and, have this fabulous life in theater.
Well, do you think that you are, I mean, this may seem like an odd question to ask, but do you think that you're ambitious in terms of the pursuit of a career, or it's just that you see something that you want, why not ask for it?
I'm very driven. I'm very driven. I'm very activity oriented. And, I've done different things like I got my real estate license because I was showing, my friends had come and they'd get their series and I love I love property, very driven about that. Everything I do, like, um, I'm glad I'm not as driven. I can, I can literally sit and look at my pond and relax now. But I never felt driven to be a star or to be known. I never thought career wise. I never thought I need to do this. I never thought about building a career. I did what I wanted at the moment. Like those shows I loved so much and I wanted to do them. Well, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was doing a little night music. When Hal Prince asked me to do it, I wasn't sure that I wanted to do it because I had just done company for, almost 2 years and I had never done summer stock or regional theater. So he let me have a 3-week out, which was unheard of. I said, I want to be there through the creative process. And then I left it because I wanted to go do Annie Get Your Gun. That
Yeah.
was another show. So, so I've never followed a path of seeking a career. You know, as I say, it's just like I don't really have a bucket list, and
But
it's
you
not.
have gone after what you've wanted to do in this business, which I think is remarkable.
I know, and I felt, I think my biggest goal was just to get better and grow as an actress. I mean, I was blessed with a singing voice,
Absolutely, you
I
sure
mean, I
were.
was, and
Yes.
I never take that for granted, and I'm never bragging about it. I mean, I was blessed with that. I mean, yes, I've trained, and um,
Hal Prince
hopefully,
had one of the best voices in theater that he's ever heard. Well,
yeah,
you said it, so let's just say thank you, Hal Prince.
yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Yes, thank you, thank you. So, so I never take that for granted. Um, but I always wanted to grow as an actress, you know, acting. I mean, acting the song was always more important to me because the singing was easy. So I've always worked very hard at that. And of course, that's why I love teaching so much, because I think I've kind of learned how to do that, Um, but yeah, I just am constantly blessed, you know, at
I want to go back. So you see Jacques Brel, you call the stage manager and said, "I'd like to come in and audition for the show." Um,
Mhm.
it's interesting. Why the stage manager did you call instead of calling the producer, the director, or anyone else? Was it just that you didn't know anyone else to call? Did you have a connection
His
to the
name was
stage?
in the I had the program, his name was in the program, and I called the theater and said, "Can I talk I guess I thought maybe I could get to him
And you
easier
did.
than, and I did. I did. And he got me an audition. Yeah.
So you came in and you get cast, and then it was shortly after that. Was it you met George Firth,
Yeah.
and you become friends with George Firth, and he's working on a new project.
Well,
Uh,
no, actually, I didn't know him. It was by chance that we sat next to each other in a club, seeing this friend of ours, Richard Ryder, sing. And we just started chatting. I'd never met him. I didn't know who he was. And he said, you know, after we'd talked a while, he said, I've written a play and I think you're right for it. I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
that reminds me. Years ago, William Shatner, he had just turned 80. He was doing the Priceline.com commercials. He was doing his one-man show on Broadway. His autobiography had just come out. He was being interviewed on the Larry King show when Larry King was still around doing a show. And Larry King said, "What do you attribute to your success?" And he said, "I get out of the house." He said, "Nowadays, you can sit on the phone, you can order your dinner." He says, without being too crass here, "If I want any date or anything, I can order it online." He said, "I don't have to leave my house for anything anymore." He said, "But I get out of the house." And he said, "Every opportunity from Star Trek on has happened because of somebody that I met at a party or a conversation. And this is a perfect example."
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, luckily I was doing Jacques Brel in LA, so I was able to say, but I mean, I just took it I took it as a grain of salt. And I said, well, you can come see me do Jacques Brel tomorrow if you want, and then I guess he wrote to Hal and said, I just found Jenny, but I didn't know any of that. I didn't know that because I had to audition for it and I didn't know all that was going on.
Well, I mean, at this point, I mean, Hal Prince is already the crown prince of Broadway. I mean, he already had under his belt, quite an impressive resume with even better credits and more credits to come along. But were you aware of his pedigree at this point?
I was so green. I know I talked about that. I was so green. I mean, I was a drama major, you know, but it's interesting. Going to San Francisco State was art for art's sake.
Hmm.
And I just compare that very quickly because I directed Into the Woods at USC, and it's in the middle of the business, you know, and opening night, the girl said, "Oh, I have a chance to do a TV thing opening night," you know, and I said, "No," you know. But anyway, the point is, at San Francisco, we didn't at that point deal with the business of show business, and I think it's really important now. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, I think I teach it now. You know, people have to be aware of how to make a living. You know, but so you know, I certainly knew who he was, but and again, see, I wasn't one of these people that just, oh, you know, knew everything about theater. You know, I was all involved with being a better actress, and I wasn't starstruck with. I didn't have celebrities that, you know, I idolized, or so when I went back there, I, I wasn't aware of, you know, Hal Prince, of who he was, other than, you know,
Right.
having studied, you know, knowing, but also you didn't pay as much attention to producers. And he was at that point more of a producer than
Mhm.
you know, so
You bring up a very interesting point here. Especially nowadays, you really have to be on the ball as far as the business end of the business is concerned.
oh yes, you do.
When did you first become aware of really being on top of the business end of the business?
Really, just when I was teaching. I don't think I ever really I never, for instance, oh, I can see where I was ambitious. I can say, you know, going to parties and things. I like to, you know, as later, you know, I like to meet the, you know, people, and I'd go into towns doing a show, and I'd look at possibilities. But it was always about work, not about
Mm,
stardom, anything like
mhm,
that.
mhm.
Um, I always, well, I got to say, we didn't make a lot of money, you know, then. I mean, you know, the salary that my first salary was like under $300 for company.
And it was
You
a
know,
lot of work. It was a lot of
yeah, well, it was a lot. Well, yeah, but it had nothing to do with that. You don't think about it as
well,
work.
I know that, but it was
Yeah, but
still a
I
lot
mean,
of
just,
work.
you know, so, but I managed. You know, I always managed. I never made a lot of money. You know, but somehow I always found ways um, to do what I loved. You
Did you
know.
start putting a team together? And what I mean by a team of an agent, a manager, publicist, did those start coming into play as well?
Well, you know, again, lucky me. I mean, I was when I did when I was doing your own thing. Maybe Stephen Draper, who is a wonderful agent, contacted me. I can't remember if it was that or from Jacques. No, yeah, yeah, or maybe Russ Thacker was playing opposite me in your own thing, and he did introduce me to New York, really, you know. And but I never had to pursue getting an agent. And Stephen Draper wanted to sign me, and I went with him. And then when I was doing Jacques Brel and I got cast as, you know, in company, then agents that, you know, and I was pursued by uh, I guess it was William Morris back then, you know, one of the biggies, and Milt Goldman, who was, you know, one of the great agents. He
Oh, yeah,
handled
absolutely.
Ethel Merman and all of that, and so they convinced me to go with them. So, you know, I went with them, and you know, I just always had agents, you know, and but so I say this, and I again, I never take any of this for granted, never, you know. But teaching, and it's all so different now because there's so many people. You know, these kids have to get up at 5 and go stand in line, and then they say, "Oh, you're typed out," you know. So getting agents is not an easy thing. Um, so I have a student right now that I want her to meet my agent,
Hmm.
so when I can help people, you know, I love to do that. But I do feel as a teacher the need, because people are very naive about it. And there's so many possibilities now in terms of showcases and working as an apprentice, and, things like that, which I never did. I never did any of that. I
Well,
never had to work as a waitress or any of that.
well, God bless you, and God bless the ones that are out there doing it, because
Oh God, yes,
hard
yes,
work.
yes. I just would have been bad, you know. As a
I,
child,
it's hard work. I worked as a waiter, but I want to ask, what is it with you and the Stevens in your life? Because you've had, here's another Steven, Stephen Sondheim, Stephen Schwartz, and Stephen Draper. You've been, that should be the title of your book, Me and the Stevens.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I was going to do a CD of that stuff.
Uh, let's start with, first of all, with Stephen Sondheim, obviously, and you've been asked, so many times about Stephen Sondheim,
Well, I
and
love talking about him.
yeah, but he just passed on recently, but he will never leave us. He is everywhere. He's ubiquitous, and he is so ingrained with everything we say and do every single day. Uh, your first meeting of Stephen Sondheim, and then I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at that first table read or the first rehearsal for company. That, if I could go any place in history, that's where I would have loved to have been.
I'd love this. Boy, would I, if I would, there are pictures of it in books and things. And oh, of course, I was very nervous. I guess the one thing I remember, funny, I'd remember this. Um, we're all sitting around the table, and of course, Elaine Stritch arrived late with her dog Bridget, running, barking after her. She made an entrance for that first reading. I remember that so clearly. And well, you asked me earlier about laughter. I remember getting laughter at that read through. That's a wonderful memory. I can't tell you that I can't go back to the first time I remember it, but sitting around that table reading, and I read lines, and people laughed, and so maybe they won't fire me. Yeah, yeah, that was
When
great.
you first got the script, an amazing script, George Firth. And when you read this script for the first time, what was your initial reaction to the script the first time that you read through it?
This is really good.
I'm sorry.
I said this is really
I'm not hearing you right now.
oh, really? Can you
Yeah,
hear me now?
you faded out for a second.
Oh, I said this is really good. Yeah. No, it was it just read so well. Um um there weren't a lot of changes that happened in company. Um I've been in a couple of ones that didn't make it, which we can talk about if you want to, what one learns. But it was kind of hard to visualize, reading the script, but Hal, it is such an he's such an incredible, I say is because he's still
Hmm.
so with me, conceptual, and he explained everything, and he, we saw the sets, and the sets, were so exciting with the elevators and um, the on our particular scene. What are those logos? A big logo set, that got crashed into one night, and with those with the elevator. But so it was extremely exciting, even as green as I was, and it didn't seem as overwhelming as it would have because I was so young. I told you about that first day of rehearsal, reading the
Yes,
opening
yes.
number, of it. people just freaking out. And I didn't know any better.
And Pamela Myers, of course, and she's talked about, going into this and, and she too first big show.
We
And,
were the two newbies. Yeah.
And the excitement of doing this. And when did you know for yourself that it was time to move on after this show? Because you're in a hit show, and then the next show was not that successful for you, and that you learn very soon the ups and downs of a life in the theater.
You mean moving on? Are you talking about moving on from company or Little Night
Yes.
Music?
No.
Company?
Yes.
Well, that was sort of dictated.
Yes.
I stayed with that. I did it a year on Broadway, and then they were taking out the tour, and some of the people, the tour was starting in California, and so I was from California and I was homesick, and I thought, well, I would like to do that, but I don't want to do the tour. And Hal was great because he let some of us just do the California thing. And the people that were going to do the tour, Jane Johnston did my role in New York while I was doing it in California. So I did it for, I think it was like maybe 4 months in LA. It was a long one. And then 2 months in San Francisco. And then I went back into the New York show, knowing that we were going to go to London. And he asked me, I went to London with it, as did the majority of us. And we were only allowed to do it in London for 3 months. Larry Kurt and Elaine Stritch were allowed to do it for 6 months, but we were just allowed to do it, so, when that time was up, that was,
your time was up.
It wasn't like that I made a choice to do that.
Was the audience reception pretty much the same in London as it was in New York?
They were fabulous. Yeah.
They were ready for it.
Oh, they were better, I should say. The reception there was like what you wanted. A lot of people, it was a little ahead of its time, as they always say, and although the reception, the response from the audience always mostly felt good, except on Friday nights, as I said.
I was listening to an interview of Barbra Streisand yesterday on her opening night of Funny Girl. And she was talking about how, and he said, well, was it an exciting night? And she says, no. She said, opening night audiences are really not fun audiences because they're theater snobs. They're there.
That's very true.
So she says, no, I didn't have a good time. And she was so young at the time, and she was so sure of herself at the time.
Yeah.
And she says, well, what happens, so.
That's incredible.
And
again, I keep saying how green I was. I was more nervous for the opening of A Little Night Music than I was for Company, because I knew what was at stake, and I understood I understood it all more. When I was the opening of Company, sure, I was nervous, but that whole process was more frightening.
And why was that? A Little Night Music, first of all, just glorious, glorious, glorious. Same thing. When you first read the script for A Little Night Music, did you have the same sense that you did when you read the script for Company?
Well, it was different. My experience with night music was, we came back from London and they were working on night music, and Hal really liked me. I had a great relationship with him, and he said, Teri, there's nothing in A Little Night Music for you. He says, you're my favorite all-American cheerleader. And he says, I want this to be very European. And so, I understood that, and I was probably disappointed. Yes, I'm sure I was. And then they had to do backers auditions. I think I talked about this. They had to do backers auditions because Follies had lost money. So Hal asked me to do the backers auditions with Steve. And, I actually, I went to his house and I was the first person to hear the music. So I was very involved in the beginnings of A Little Night Music. And originally there was no Liebeslieder, which is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hal, once they created the Liebeslieder, he said, we want you to be in this. We want you to do this. And so that's when I said, well, let me think about it.
Good for you.
I mean, well, I wasn't, not because I was being snooty or anything. It's just, because I had done a show for 2 years. Well, so what was on my mind, let me back up a minute. When we were doing company, I was a new kid on the block and Pam Myers. So they only gave me a 3-week out. I mean, I had it so they could get out of it if I didn't work out. So we opened and we were a success and I worked out. And so my agent called me and said, I have the best news. They're giving you a 1-year contract. Now, mind you, I was early 20s. I said, a year? I can't do anything for a year. And I said, I don't want a year's contract. Well, he was beside himself. He eventually, but the funny thing is that they ended up coming up with some more money. And I wasn't trying to get more money, but again, a year. And so, I mean, God, who was this person? Who was I? I mean, I look back and some of the decisions I made. But so when A Little Night Music, when he asked me to do it, I said, I'd like to do it, but I just want to be there, for the, and then I left early, because I wanted to grow as an actress. And I thought, I'm not going to grow if I just do another long run on Broadway. I mean, can we call that stupid? Maybe.
No. Well, I mean, we know about the shows that happened and the successes. Was there ever one that got away for you?
Well, yes. I mean,
yes, I know.
Well, I look back and I can't regret decisions. But I was in the original Prelude to a Kiss, which wasn't a musical, at South Coast Rep with Craig, Neil, Craig. Oh my God,
Craig Lucas,
wonderful Craig Lucas.
Oh God, yes.
And
wasn't it Norman Renee as
Norman
well?
Renee, and they were just the most exciting collaborative group I had worked with since Hal and Steve. I mean, and it was a wonderful experience. And they then took it to it was going to Berkeley, and I at that point had been directing quite a bit, and I went off and directed One Too Many Quilters. The show Quilters. I directed it in Florida, and I had agreed to do it in Berkeley. And then I decided, oh no, I just want to go home. So I dropped out of it. Now I know, I mean, I'm quite sure I would have done that one in New York, and so I would have come in a straight play, and I didn't do that. So that has been a regret. But what are you going to do? I'm trying to think of roles. I always, except I was really too old at the point, Light in the Piazza. I would have loved to have done the mother in that. But by the time when I came back to New York, I asked to be submitted for that, and I was, but they were really going, yeah. I mean, I wasn't old, but they wanted to go pretty young with that. So I would have loved to have done that.
Well, there's a new theater company here in New York, and I hope the producers are watching, because I said you've got to get Teri Ralston in your season next season. And yes, and when I mentioned it, they were so excited. So I won't jinx it. I won't say anything on air, but don't be surprised if you get a call to come back to New York next season. It'll be
God, I don't know.
Maybe I'm glad that you don't want to grow. But I want to ask you because I think that you a couple of years ago at the Metropolitan Rome, you did a phenomenal cabaret show, which got rave reviews. You made it into a CD. I even have it here. And we're going to give away a copy of the CD at the end of the show tonight. Tell us about this show, and it brought you back to New York. Had it been a while that you had been away from New York when you came
You
back
know,
with this show?
when I did Baker's Wife, and we could do several hours on that show.
I know.
When I did Baker's Wife, it was a really difficult time. It was 9 months on the road of firings and rehearsing the bread number every day and so I said, I don't want to do this. So I went to California. And I ended up staying there because I ended up doing a lot of directing and a lot of television, and I kept trying to get back to New York. And every time I was all set again to come back, and they had asked me to stand by for Carol Burnett in putting it together. And so I really wanted to do that. I mean, because I just loved her, and Steve was involved with Cameron McIntosh, who I'd never worked with. So then that got put off. So I kept trying to get back to New York. And what was the original question you asked me?
So if it had been a while since you had been in New York.
Oh, right.
Go together.
So, yeah. So I finally made it back, and I did this cabaret show. The way I made it back was to commit to teaching a class at AMDA. And if I commit to something, I will make it back. So I had been gone. I had come back to do a couple things. I came back to do this Cy Coleman musical, Home Again, which we closed on the road. So, and I came back to do an off-Broadway review, a couple things like that. But mostly I was in California. So, so I did the cabaret show, and I called it I Got to Get Back to New York. And it was so much fun because so many people, Stephen Schwartz came, and original casts of Company and so on the CD, they there's a lot of pictures and wonderful quotes and things, which I like really much as the CD. But I really had, and we recorded it live, so it was a fun experience.
CD. I was listening to it today. It is just it's so much fun, and we're going to give it to a lucky person. I'm going to bring up actually the word, as I said, is humor. So if you put in the hashtag humor, my homage to James Lipton inside the Actors Studio. So I've got some fun questions. I hope they're fun for you. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, first of all, do you have brothers?
I'm sorry, is this to me or to?
These are to you. These are all to you.
Oh, okay.
There's no one else right now. It's just you and me.
No, but I thought you were asking the public, so they.
No. So I want to ask you, do you have brothers and sisters?
Only child.
You're an only child.
Yep.
My dear friend Carol Channing was an only child, and she said as an only child, she created imaginary friends in her world. As an only child, did you have imaginary friends as well?
Well, no, but I think I might now. I talk to myself all the time. I have a wonderful little dog who I talk to all the time, and it might stem from that. And I try to analyze it because I do. I talk to myself a lot, and I thought, do I need to worry? Do I need to worry about this? And I've tried to analyze who it is I'm talking to, and it's just me. But this person I talk to has humor. I mean, literally, I can something simple. Break a glass of water or do something that's really upsetting. And I'll say, well, what are you going to do about that? and when things are difficult, this voice is a voice of humor that helps me move on. So as a child, I always had a horse. So I think I probably that took care of my needing another silent companion.
Well, good for you. Um, what are you most proud of in your career?
Hmm. Well, this is a broad thing, but I mean, just my working with Stephen Sondheim, I suppose, and Hal Prince.
That's wonderful.
That's just um, I'm just very proud of what I was given the opportunity to do, and it stuck around, and so it makes me feel maybe I've done something right.
Well, you certainly have. With everything that's going on in the world right now, what are you the most curious about right now?
Oh, worried about or curious?
Curious
Because
or worried, either or.
well, the biggie,
Yes.
the well, I'm not even going to go there because it's the politics. Um, I guess I hope we hold on to our democracy.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that's the thing, and I'm curious. I'm curious about elections, and that all is just a huge concern for me.
And this next question may take you in that direction. Whose thoughts would you most like to be able to read right now?
Whose thoughts? Oh, golly. That's a good one, and um, I can't answer it. I'm sorry. Let me mold that a little bit
Okay.
more.
Okay.
It does go in a lot of different directions.
That's fine. What is the most satisfying thing that you do each day or each week?
Make a list every morning. I make a list, and the most satisfying thing I do is checking things off my list.
I do the same thing. I love when I tick it off. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, if you could go back, is there anything that you would do differently, either in your life or your career?
Oh my goodness, so many things. Mistakes we make along the way. I wish I'd helped more people. I wish I still am. I wish I was now being more involved with charities than I am. Um, I, 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 I I have been so lucky, as I say, with travel, that that so much of that is satisfied. Um, I would like to. I've never married and I've never regretted that. So I can't say, and I can't say I'm sorry I haven't had children. My teaching fulfills that for me. That's one of the things I'm most proud of, though. Also, is my teaching. I feel that I'm able to do some good with that. So I would have to add that to one of the things I feel most accomplished about.
Right.
So, this isn't just, I am Pollyanna. I am Pollyanna. Um, but it's true. I don't have a lot of regrets, you
That's
know.
great. That's wonderful. What's one big challenge that you faced this past week, and what one powerful lesson did you learn from that challenge?
Well, um, I'm trying to get work done. This is boring though. I'm trying to get work done, and I've been impatient and not as well. I don't think I've been unkind, but I'm challenging myself to be more patient with people because I'm still sort of driven. And so there's things that I want to get done and I'm not able to because it involves other people.
Okay.
And so that's something I'm working on is just being more patient.
Okay. And in which part of the week, this week, did your time go the fastest and the slowest? Maybe you've answered part of that.
Um, well, the last night, the night went too fast.
Okay.
I didn't get enough sleep last night.
Okay.
I have trouble sleeping. So boring. I'm not giving you very exciting.
No, no, no. You're absolutely perfect.
This that went the fastest. Um, the slowest was probably an aerobics class that I did at the gym, and I was so tired that I said, "Oh God, let me get through this."
And this is going to be my last question. I have this calendar that I keep on my desk, and each day there's a passage. And my passage today said, when I'm tempted to be hard on myself, I ask, what would I tell my best friend if they were in the same situation? So today's action, let me be my own best friend today. What loving guidance would I offer a dear friend if they were dealing with whatever I'm dealing with? And with whatever you're going through in your life right now, if this was your best friend going through the same situation, would you treat them the same way?
Yes, and do you want the advice I would give?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I would. And this has nothing. I am not an alcoholic, but my my thing that gets me through, and that I have people going through some very difficult problems right now. So it's take one day at a time. Um, and that's a great thing for AA, but it's something. I mean, I have friends going through chemo right now,
Mm,
which I have also done, and I'm fine. I'm good.
God
But
bless you.
I'm that's past history. But when you have bad days, if you can say it's just today, and, tomorrow I will deal with tomorrow. And the other thing, and I kind of alluded to this, is the importance of living in the present, because we worry so much, like, oh God, I'd have a job and I'd be worrying about, oh, I'll never work again. And then the next day I get a call with a job, and I wasted all that energy, So we can't. Oh God, I used to read Krishnamurti. I think I've learned this at a very early age. We can't. We learn from the past, but we can't hang on to the past, and we don't know what the future is going to be. So I really try to appreciate, that doesn't mean we have to plan. We definitely have to plan and be organized and know what we're going for. I've never been a large goal, like bucket list. I'm not one that makes big goals. I try to go a day at a time and face the goals of each day. And when you're stressed, I tell my students, write down what each thing that stresses you and what you can do about it. It's about breaking things down so that the overall focus doesn't become overwhelming.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm reminded of that moment in The Music Man, where Professor Harold Hill uh, meets Marion on the footbridge. And she said, I almost didn't come. And he said, you can spend a lifetime collecting tomorrows only to find out you had no yesterdays. So
Exactly.
take every day. We're going to give away your CD, and I'm going to show you how this is going to work. And it's all about the humor, everyone. Hold on to the humor. And let's see who we're going to give this away to tonight. And Pam Stubbs, once again, she wins all the time.
Really?
She shows up. So Pam, I will get the CD to you. I will be thrilled to do that. I'm going to pull you up here so that we've got Teri, I love you so much, and I am thrilled that you said yes to doing this. And yes, we could do this once a month if you want to do this. We don't even have to do it publicly. We could just get together and do a
Oh,
Zoom call.
you are such a joy. It's just
No,
so
you are too.
wonderful.
And don't go anywhere for a moment. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. I know that there's a lot going on outside, but hold on. As you can hear, Teri's dog is agreeing with me. Where's your dog? Bring your dog on screen.
Let me get her. She's very cute.
Yeah, Danny, can you bring on Benny? Yeah, I'm going to bring on Benny because we need humor. I'm going to bring on Benny. Yeah, hold on.
There's a dog walking by, and we just get.
Yeah, well, Benny does the same thing.
This is where I have a lot of my conversations right here.
Look at this.
Oh my God! Oh, so much. Is that a Maltese?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Yes.
I didn't know you. Well, no wonder we
No
love you.
wonder. So.
Oh God! They have to meet. We have to.
They have to meet. Look at that. Benny, look. So anyway, everybody look for the humor. That's what we have to hold on to. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being here tonight. It means so much to me. Please, after tonight's show, leave a comment. If this is your first time here, please don't let it be your last time. Subscribe to this channel. Share this with your friends. And I always end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list and reach out to the third name that pops up and reach out with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, but a phone call. And let that person know what they mean to you. Because as my dear friend Sean Moniger always says, we may all be in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And you never know what someone else is going through right now. But I always say, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along. So, Teri, I'm going to leave the screen and I'm going to give you the final word. Anything you want to say about anything that we talked about tonight that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you want to build, that you want to talk about, or just any message that you want to leave everyone with. And when you're in New York, please call me and let's get together for a cup of coffee or something, because I'd love to just go out.
I'll be there to do the Stephen Schwartz tribute on the 9th of May.
For the American Songbook Association.
Yes, yes. I'm doing
now
that.
I definitely have to get my tickets.
And I want to see you for sure.
I will be there. I'm going to get my tickets. So,
but I mean, I want to go have coffee or
yes.
Wine or whatever.
So I'm going to definitely be there for the American Songbook Association.
Okay.
Schwartz and Teri Ralston on the same evening. What could be better than that? So I'm going to leave the screen.
I adore you.
Yes, you too. Okay.
Well, I just, as we were talking about tomorrow's and today's and everything, I think the most, there's a point to this. I think the most depressing line I know in theater was the original final line of Follies. And Sally is going out the door and she says, we'll think about that tomorrow. Oh, dear God, it is tomorrow. So live today, everybody. Live today. Find something every day that you can accomplish. I mean, this is what I do. And it may be reading a book, but accomplish something. And as Skipper so wonderfully says, do something for someone. And that's such a good reminder to me, because we get in our own world and we get busy, and reach out and keep watching this Mr. Skipper, because he is pretty incredible. Thank you so much.